Well, hello everybody. Hey, it's Brenda from Star 99.1, and I'm just so excited today because we get to hang out with a very special guest, Issa Musharbash, who is the author of the book Go Back to Your Country. How exciting. Hi, Issa, how are you?
Brenda, I'm so excited to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, this is so great. As I'm sitting here, I heard so much about this book, and I just wanted to tell our audience really quick. If you have not heard about this book, go back to your country. And I love the first thing I read here first from Jordan to Jersey. Go back to your country is an inspirational 21st century immigration story, and it's a beautiful story about how Issa overcame so many odds on his journey to the United States of America, but he took every part of his life and he used all of it to be very successful today. So Issa, do you have a copy of your book there? Why don't you show them a copy of your book? And
Yes.
out of your own words, Issa, tell us a little bit about this book before I really delve into your life. Tell us about the book.
So, a little bit about the book. It took me 3 years to get done. This is a book that was important to get out for me. Although there's so many forces among my family and friends that want me to write a business book, a how-to book, an entrepreneur book, I wanted to first kind of tell you how I got here and tell that story, which is it's the immigrant story. And so I took that angle and presented how I got here, where I am in life today. And I have a beautiful life, Brenda. I got three amazing children.
Oh,
They
yay.
get to call me dad. That's
Ah,
my
yes.
favorite title.
Oh,
And I'm so excited. They're on this journey with me. When they hear me doing an interview, they want to be involved. Daddy, can you reference me? Can you say my name? So
what
for
are their
first
names?
for them, I wanted to introduce them to you. So
Yeah.
my oldest is turning 11 in March this year, Sophia. And then Abraham is my 8-year-old,
Aw.
and I have a third one, Joseph, who's 3 years old.
Oh, baby.
Believe it or not, he's still stuck in our bed. He doesn't want to let go of our bed.
Aw.
Uh, those are my three beautiful children, uh,
Oh, so great.
being
Sophia,
dad is so awesome.
yeah, and Sophia, she's 11 going on 19.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, and
yeah,
I gotta keep an eye around her. I gotta
I
keep an
bet.
eye around her. She's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful girl, and be careful. Don't you come around my daughter.
Right, right. And I love this, and it's just so great to hear this, Issa, because we're hearing about your story, reading your book. You really have overcome so many odds. I mean, as a young boy, who would have thought that you would be here with us today, sharing your story to thousands of people, gushing about your children. I mean, it's such a beautiful story, and I'm so excited to unpack this a little bit with you. And Issa, we were talking a little bit before, and I know that your story, your mother plays a huge story on how you got here to America when you were a child. And we're talking because my mother's an immigrant as well, God rest her soul, but she came from the Philippines, so I understand the strength of a mom, and the drive of a mom to get you here. So I just wanted to ask you, before we really unpack this story, what was it like for you as a child coming to America with your mom? I know that it took you a couple tries to get here. I know that you came and then you had to go back. Um, but through the eyes of little Issa, being with your mom, coming to America, what was that like for you? What did you see? What did you feel?
Brenda, the most exciting part of my life was being with mom and coming to America. Just because 31 months before getting here, we were separated from mom, my siblings and I, as she was trying everything in her power, on her knees, praying, trying to figure out a way to bring us to the United States. So she went ahead of us, and there was that separation. And to have a 10-year-old boy and my older brother who was 12 at the time, and my younger who was 8 at the time, to be separated from mom. At some point throughout that journey of separation, we thought maybe she's never going to take us, maybe she's never going to bring us back. Maybe she stopped loving us, but she never stopped fighting for us. And those were the most painful part of my young years. And I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But I write in the book, I talk about the day I finally saw her 31 months later, how beautiful she looked, better than we imagined, and brought us to the US. Just being with her, just knowing that she fought and she won and she brought us to the United States. The most incredible feeling in the world, reuniting back with mom. Wow. I don't know how to explain it in words, Brenda.
Well, I can
And I
see it.
know this is an interview with words, so
No, no,
I
we
should
trust
be
you.
more prepared.
We can see it in your expressions, and we can feel your heart through that. You totally can feel your heart. And you know what's going through my mind, Issa, is that about that time, you and your the ages of your brother are the ages kind of your kids right now. So imagine, it's interesting. Your kids right now, that's how old you were. So I mean, just imagine them seeing going through what you went through, and your mom. I know when you came to America and then you got settled here, you went through some things in Jersey City and you had to overcome some things there. But your mother, and I don't know if this was, I believe this might have been right around your first sales job as a teenager, but I know at one point your mother introduced you to your mentor. Is that true? You started praying and you started going to church, and then you started to learn to take your troubles and pray rather than go out and beat people up. I guess what to say, because am I getting this correct? So
Yeah,
can you share
yes,
that
except
experience?
so my mother never directly introduced me to my mentor, but indirectly through prayer night after night. Brenda, uh, I don't know how to tell you this. 18, I gave my mother 18 months of darkness from the age 16 to about 17 and a half. I gave my mother the worst time of her life. I want to believe that was the worst time of her life because every night she did not know if I was coming home or not. Every night she would wait and praying, Lord, like rescue this guy, rescue him. He's lost. And for all these months, God heard her prayer because it wasn't her that introduced me to the pastor of the church that I attend at City Line. It was at a job. I worked at Dunkin' Donuts, and across the street, a whole bunch of people would invite me to come to church. And eventually I gave in. I went for the girls, but I
Of
ended up.
course, of course. Teenage boy at that time. Of course, it's okay as long as you get in the church. God will take
I
care of
got in, and I got in, and I stayed, and I never turned back. And later on, I got married to the girl of my dreams, and the rest is history.
Oh, so beautiful. Now you have three beautiful children. And I know when you first started, you talking about Dunkin' Donuts, and I know that you overcame some bullying in school. You were involved in gangs, and I know you got your brothers involved in gangs as well. But you overcame all of that. Talk about how you overcame the gang life, the bullying life, and then got into your first sales job. Like what changed? Like what for you made you transform and use all of this to overcome?
Well, one of the good things that happened despite all the negativity is I got a job at the age of 12. My first job. Being the tallest of my siblings, I got the job first.
Yeah,
So, although the boss wasn't the greatest, he gave me the opportunity to earn my $3 an hour.
nice.
But that taught me so much. And I talk a little bit about like the abusive situations at work. But despite that, I wanted to help mom. And I wouldn't tell her about what would happen at the job. I would just suck it up as much as I can. And eventually, I liked having a little spending money as a teenager. And but the bullying that took place in school turned me into a bully. Most bullies today are just good kids that were bullied by someone else. And that's what happened to me. I turned into a bully. I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. And before you knew it, this immigrant boy looking for acceptance was rejected in so many places, eventually found acceptance in a gang. And that's all young people want. They just want to feel a sense of acceptance, a sense of belonging. If we could do that for them somehow, whether it's teachers or after school programs or parents or pastors, maybe they don't have to choose the gang life. In my case, my siblings followed me. My older brother, I was shocked. My older brother Jacob joined us when I invited him. Hey, come, you and Hannah, come. My younger brother, I knew he would come. He would come anywhere I go. He had me and him have this thing. He would follow me everywhere. Eventually, he would follow me throughout my career. My older brother, I was a little shocked, but I learned later on. This is just like 2, 3 years ago. I asked, like, why did you join us? You're a good kid. Like, and his response was mind-boggling for me. He said, that was the only way I could protect you. And poof, right?
Wow. Oh, all the women in the listening area just went, oh, oh, wow.
That's my older brother. He in his mind,
Mm,
he wanted to join a gang to
yeah,
so that he could keep an eye on me. And my younger brother Hannah. And so through that time, I was promoted to the leader of the gang. The person who founded the gang relocated, put me in charge, and at that time, my interest had slowly began to change. And then when God came in my life, I just lost interest in everything. I changed everything, um, some people say, well, it's just a matter of time, then he'll go back. Not me.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just need it one time. Just show me the truth once.
yeah,
Show me Jesus one time where I
yeah.
could feel him and know that he's there with me and he accepts me. If he took me in, I don't need anyone else. And it's been 2003, 2002, end of 2002, almost 20 years, 19 years serving the Lord.
Wow, praise God. That is so great. And now what about your brothers? Are they are they still here? Are they serving
Yes,
the Lord as well?
yes. So my older brother went on to be the president and the broker of record of our own real estate firm. So I started the real estate firm, but later on, Jacob joined. Hannah was with me throughout the whole up and coming process of becoming an entrepreneur. He was with me the whole time. He went on and he traveled the world. My younger brother, he's been to like over 200 cities across 80 countries, every continent, through his job, and he's back now, and we get to hang out together, having family. I mean, something about last night, actually, Brenda, I was praying for my kids. My wife was led the prayer, and then right when we thought we were done, I was like, I just want to say one more thing, Lord, give these kids, Sophia, Abraham, and Joseph, a bond, the type of bond today that would last in 20, 30, 40 years from now, that nothing would be able to separate them, because they'll have their own lives and they'll grow and they'll have their own kids. But give them the type of bond early on that later on in life they would lean on each other. And that's what I have now with my siblings, all of them.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Issa, it's such a beautiful story because your struggles to get to America, you're being separated from your mother, being involved in gangs, being in Dunkin' Donuts, and now you have this huge real estate company. What do you think? I mean, how did you get from your working at Dunkin' Donuts, going through the gangs to now today having this huge real estate company? How did you beat all of these odds? What do you think it is inside of you that gave you that drive to say, you know what? I am an immigrant. I am from Jordan and I am going to be very successful at what I do. I don't care what anybody says, and there's nothing that's going to stand in my way. Can you please share that story, especially as an immigrant, how hard you worked?
Yeah, I think immigrants, we have a little edge because nothing has been handed to us. We came with less than nothing. And so we appreciate opportunity. A lot of my friends that went to high school with me, some of them are still in the same place where we left off, have not moved forward, but yet they had a better chance at succeeding than I did. So I had to overcome these odds because I have this immigrant like edge. That being an immigrant is a good thing. It gives you this edge to like fight harder, to
Yeah.
want to achieve more, to accomplish more, because you don't know what it's like. You don't know what freedom is like. I mean, people come to America for freedom, Brenda, right? They come for religious freedom. They come for liberties, and but people that are born into the country could sometimes forget.
Yeah.
They could forget that this doesn't exist in a lot of places in the Middle East. This
Mhm.
doesn't exist in a lot of places around the world. So we come knowing knowing well that this is a beautiful country and we have an opportunity to be anything and anything we want to be. We could do anything in this country. So we go and we get things done. And how I built a multi-million dollar real estate empire today, one day at a time, one step at a time. And it all started by the grace of God, following Jesus and never turning back. Like you can't like ping pong with this thing. You can't just go to church and then like when the pastor says something you don't like, you stop and then you try to church shop and then like ping pong your way in your faith. You just got to stick to it, and every single day you're learning something new, and you get to apply it. My service in youth ministry, I mean, a lot of us could relate, right? We volunteer at church.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that I credit who I am today is my service at my church. My pastor would put me in charge of activities at youth conferences, youth events, the sound ministry, the video ministry, where I had to lead people. I don't even know anything about sound or video, but uh, he was forming me into a leader. And today, I'm out here in like corporate America building a business, but I was prepped for this in the church. I was prepped for this serving the Lord. It's amazing when you volunteer your services at your church. When your pastor calls you, say yes. Say yes, because he may not even know why.
Yeah.
But 10 years from that moment, 15 years from that moment, you'll realize that what you said yes to was just prepping you for what you're going to be doing later on.
Wow, that is so good. It's so funny. I was having the same conversation with some friends of mine yesterday, and my friend's husband was like, "I have no idea what I'm doing, but I keep doing all of these things that my pastor is asking me to do." He's like, "So I just keep doing them, and I just keep growing." And I love that. I love hearing that again. And and here we are. We keep talking about your successful business that you have right now, and how you worked hard and you devoted your time and you really just kept on going. But as a successful businessman, many people wanted you to write a business related book, and you instead decided to write a biography about your life and about your journey. Why is that?
I feel like, uh, when a lot of people want something from me or from anyone, from any book for that matter, they want like 5 steps to get rich. Like that doesn't exist. So I wanted to write what really happened over 26 years before I opened my first company. So this book, at the age of 26, I opened up Provident Legacy Real Estate Services. This is the 26 years leading up to it.
Wow.
Maybe in my next book I'll talk about what happened when I opened it up. And now 10 years have passed since we opened up Provident Legacy. We started as a small mom and pop real estate brokerage with 3-4 agents. Today we're over 50 associates. We do real estate brokerage. We have a real estate licensing school. So
Oh, wow.
we've been getting a lot of students now, especially during the pandemic, with our online education to help people get a real estate license. And then another arm of our business is real estate development. And
Okay.
that's the part I don't want to bore you to death with, but it's fun stuff.
Okay. That is so great. Now we just need to get you a reality show.
I don't know about that, Brenda.
Right after this book, a movie reality show. Now I know that you talk a lot about your children. You talk a lot about family. I know in the book you also have a love story with your wife. So how did you meet your wife,
Oh
and
my God.
how did that go
There
when you
there
first met her?
is somehow in the craziness of this book, there is a crazy love story happening behind the scenes, and it keeps readers are telling me that they men are telling me, I love your love story. It's crazy. Somehow in the middle of all the drama and overcoming, there's this love that I have for this girl that I met when I was 15 years old. Okay, and that back in AOL time, we would chat up on AOL Messenger on AIM, and
Wow.
she would,
Wow.
uh, we dated for 4 months.
Yeah.
I didn't know the Lord like that. The only thing I knew about God was how my parents served Him, and I never had that personal relationship at the time. She did though.
Good.
She
Good.
did, and so we had this 4 month period of dating. We were teens in high school, but she left me 4 months later. She broke up with me. But somehow I knew at that time, and I think I scared her a little bit. I said, "You're going to be my wife. I just know it." Maybe it's because I'm this insecure guy, this insecure bullied kid with a big nose, and saying finally I got someone to love me, and she's just way out of my league. I gotta tell her, we're getting married at the age of 15. Um, but she was getting serious about God, and so for that to happen, she had to let me go and did not explain, and never, like, it was cold. She just shut me out and left. I stayed behind crying, and my mom looks at me and says, "You're young. You're young. You got so much to learn. If she's the one, God will bring her back." God brought her back. My first girlfriend and only girlfriend turns out to be my wife, the
Yeah.
mother of my children. That's it, and it's just an amazing story. And it wasn't hard. It wasn't easy for her to come back. I prayed. I fasted. I've seen other men try to like snatch her from me, and I'm like, God, if she belongs to me, like, you got to do this thing. And it was a nice process to get her back.
Wow.
4 months. 4 months. Now I'm 19 years old.
Mhm.
18, 19 years old at the time. Now I'm saved. I'm on fire for God. I'm preaching. I'm invited to preach at her church, and 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 there, I get to tell her that, and there's so much to this. I want people to read the book and get the details, but I finally tell her that you're the one. We're getting married, and she drops me for another 4 months, like 4 months of silence, till she eventually feels the same way. And it was January 1st, 2005, that we went on our first official date.
Aw.
And then 4.5 years later, we got married. And now we're going to be celebrating 12 years of marriage
Congratulations.
this May, on May 31st, on
Congratulations.
May 30th, actually. So,
Well, good for her. I'm glad that she was really strong, and I mean, I'm glad she left you because she wanted to make sure that you were the right guy, and then that caused you to get closer to God and pray to God about her and get yourself right for her. And now you've got this beautiful family, beautiful children, and also your mother-in-law is now a pastor. You were talking about too.
yes, just this past Sunday, she
Great.
was ordained as a pastor in
Huh?
her church, at Journey Community Church in Bayonne, New Jersey. I'm so happy for her.
Great.
She was faithful to God from the day I met her. When my wife was still a teenager, she's been faithful, faithful. She doesn't want to be a pastor. She didn't ask for it,
Yeah.
but all these years later, she was separated to serve in pastoral ministry. I'm so excited for her.
Oh, that's so great. Well, you better behave now because now your mother-in-law is a pastor. So,
Exactly.
okay, this is your mother-in-law. This is like the real deal pastor right here. So,
Yep.
that's so
Yep.
great. What a beautiful story. I just love how you really overcame the odds in so many ways, and how God is just really a huge part of your story, and family, and fighting, and never giving up, and continuing to work. And I can't wait for people to actually to get the book and read the book and get all the details in between of all the different jobs you did, and how you exceeded, and how you just kept going and kept fighting, and people started to notice your talents and kept asking you to come back into business, which I think is great. And you overcame so much. So I just want to know, Issa, if you could tell your younger struggling self anything, what would it be?
Wow, that's a good question, Brenda. I actually wrote him a letter. And at the
What?
end of my book, I wrote my younger self a letter, my 12-year-old self a letter, and I talked to him about a number of issues. First, I talked to him about forgiveness and how forgiveness will unlock him to greatness. I actually congratulate him on loving his mom, because loving his mom and working at the age of 12 and taking half of his paycheck and giving it to mom from the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, kind of prepped him when he got crazy at the age of 16 and 17. I guess he nurtured mom enough and gave her so much hope that she needed during his dark days. So I
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that. I talk about having a stepdad, and why you should give your stepdad a break and realize that he's the man God used actually to bring you to this country. Like, you
Wow.
wouldn't even be here if your mother didn't marry him. Like,
Wow.
and this 12-year-old kid is struggling with daddy issues. Well, daddy's not here, and so there's this daddy issues that arise that get resolved. And I tell him, your stepdad is working hard every day to put a roof over your head. You're still struggling there. We talk a little bit about that. We talk about forgiveness, and to speak up. I think one thing I tell him is speak up, and realize you have a friend in your mother. You can even talk to your mother, but to speak up if something bothers you, like, speak up. As kids, sometimes we want to hold back. We don't want to share what's bothering us. And I speak too much now about the things that bother me. You can ask Sam, by the way.
That's so great. So
Inside joke.
right, okay. So these are the things that you would tell your boys now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, my daughter and both of
You, you
my sons, like, you gotta, my wife and I are adamant about this. Like, talk to us. If anyone says anything to you you're uncomfortable with, if I say something that hurts your feelings, speak up. Don't hold back. Let us know at the right time, right? So find the right time, because if you're also, when you're speaking out of place,
yeah.
that could cause unnecessary tension. But there's time at the end of the evening for us to do some reflection, and then tell each other how we feel. My wife tells me how I make her feel all the time. Like, she doesn't hold back. She tells me when I do all the good things, and she
That's
tells
good.
me when I say the things that are not so great.
Okay, good. So
And
both ends. Okay, good. I'm glad she covered both spectrums here. That's great.
yeah,
Well,
she
I
is.
want to, Issa, she sounds like such a wonderful woman and a wonderful mother, and a big part of your story. And I'm excited for people to read about your wife and the story of how you met, and your wedding, and everything like that. But I also I just have a couple more questions before we go. But we live in a world today, with COVID-19. A lot of kids aren't going to school, because they have to stay home. A lot of us are stuck home. Maybe people are giving up on their dreams. People are not used to the way the world is today. I mean, we really had to shut down. And I know many of us, like me and you, and many people like us, our relationship with God grew in this lockdown. But what would you say to our younger generation, um, who maybe is confused, and maybe is just seeing everything in the world through technology? And maybe they're feeling not so good about themselves. Maybe they're feeling that they lost their drive. Maybe they're feeling not good enough right now because the world is in such a crazy place. What would you say to our youth today on how that they can overcome the craziness of this world, and what is one of the most important things that they can do to be successful father and a businessman, and also, or a successful mother and also a successful businesswoman as well, to overcome the odds of COVID-19 and everything that the world is going through today?
Brenda, one of the things I want to encourage young people to do is believe and then take massive action. So typically they stop around the belief part. Like, okay, I believe that God wants a good life for me, that He has a plan for me. And then we stop right there. What I want to encourage everyone to do right now, especially in the times that we're in, take action. Take action. Do you want, what is it that you want to do? What do you feel God's calling you to do? Take action and don't stop till you finish. If you start a book, don't let it go until it's done. Until it's done. Don't grab 100 books and then read the first page and just, hey, I have a library of books. Grab a book, read it through. You want to go to a class, you want to go to school, start, keep going. Don't let anything get in the way. I think one of the things that you need to know early on as a young person is life has storms. No matter what, it's going to come. You're either going to be in the middle of a storm, as my pastor says, you're going to be coming out of a storm or getting ready to go back into a storm. Life is going to be full of storms, and the message here is to stay faithful through it all. Even take a nap during the storm like Jesus did. He's just like, I'm taking a nap. I got the whole world figured out. So and we can learn a thing or two from that. Be at peace in the midst of the storm and just take action towards everything God wants you to do. You want to be in media, start taking action. Do all the things that you need to do. Go to the school. Keep applying for the jobs. Keep improving your skills, because God is not gonna do the possible.
Yeah.
He's going to do the impossible. We have to do the things that are possible.
Awesome. Pastor Issa, preach it. I love
Oh
it.
God.
I love it. I love it. Issa, this has been so wonderful. Issa, if you want to just say anything else about your book, maybe you can let us know where we can get your book, maybe how people can get to know you better, how they can find you. Let us know how can we get your book and get in touch with you.
Awesome. So our book is available on our website at gobacktoyourcountry.com. Go back to your country.com. It's that simple. There you'll find like interviews, you'll find my social media account. We have like an Instagram with all the things that I do, book signings, events, interviews, etc. Um, you could follow me on social media. I'm very simple, just first and last name. Good luck with the last name. Issa Musharbash. You know how
Perfect.
many radio hosts like botched it up? I mean, Brenda, you did a great job.
Oh
There's
wait, that's
so much.
because your people sent me recordings of your name. So I just totally rehearsed it over and over again because I wanted to get it right. So
You still prepped because they send those same like they send those recordings to everyone, and when I go on an interview, they just chop it up and we laugh about it. We just have a good time. But it's Issa Musharbash. I'm on Instagram as Issa Musharbash. I'm on Facebook as Issa Musharbash, Twitter, and I'm on Google.
yes.
Google my name. I'm there somewhere. So go back to yourcountry.com is where we want people to go and find out more information about the book, where they could get a copy of the book. I think there's like a code now. If you type in like star,
Yeah.
you will get your book
Yes.
personalized.
Yes. Yep.
So
Oh, personalized even. Awesome.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, like
Put
signed.
that in code star. Yeah. So
So
great.
thank you, Brenda. Thank you for having me with you today on
Oh,
Star 99.1. This is cool.
Oh, Issa, thank you so much. This has been such a wonderful conversation with you. I know that people's lives are going to be totally touched, not just from this conversation, but especially from your amazing, powerful book on how to overcome the odds. It's a beautiful book. Everybody who's watching, you really need to read this book and just get into the stories, all the stories of how Issa and his family came from Jordan all the way to Jersey and back and forth, all the little stories in between of what him and his family went through and how he overcame the odds to be a very successful businessman, but most importantly, a happy and loving husband and a wonderful father. And his family is still here, and it's just growing and growing and growing. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story. And I love, Issa, how you bring God into everything. And we all know that He gets all the glory for everything. And I really hope that your book leads many people to the Lord as well. Um, so excited. God, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. God is going to do great things. So it's a pleasure to get to know you. So go back to yourcountry.com. Please get your book, get to know Issa. Wonderful story. And really, this is going to be something huge for our country and for the story of immigrants around the country. Thank you so much, Issa. God bless you.
Thank you, Brenda. God bless you, and you be well.
Okay, you too. All
Take care.
right.